Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to put up another video. I've been doing some thinking lately, and about my YouTube channel that I'm trying to get out there and to at least get some followers. Um, I've been putting up a lot of videos about where we're at today and things that are happening, and y'all don't really know me. You don't know who I am, and you don't know where I come from, and if anybody sees my videos, it's just this random guy that just started putting up videos about the end of the world and about things that are happening, and you don't even know who I am. So I just wanted to do kind of a video just giving my testimony of who I am, what I believe, and maybe give some more context of where I'm coming from for whenever I put up videos. So yeah, this is just basically my testimony. I'll keep it pretty short and try to give you as much information as I can about who I am, and hopefully that you can trust me when it comes to spiritual things. You can trust me when it comes to truth. I am a big truther. I love truth. I think truth is so very important, especially in this postmodern world where people they want to make truth what they want it to be and what makes them feel good. So I'm very big on truth. So anyway, I'll start with this. I live in Oklahoma City, and I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma called Choctaw, Oklahoma. I was adopted at birth. Um, my biological mother was young when she had me, and she just couldn't do it. She was too young, and so she gave me up for adoption. Thank God she didn't abort me. So I'm a big proponent for adoption, and I'm against abortion. So I think about that, and just uh, how celebrated abortion is today. And I think, man, that could have easily been me, but yeah, thank God it didn't happen. Thank God she made the right decision. Yeah, I grew up. I was adopted into a family of a mom and dad, and an older brother and an older sister. We grew up in church. We grew up going to a Baptist church, and it was a very old school Baptist church. With the music was just a piano and maybe an organ, and preacher and all that. And my parents were really involved in the church. But they were Christians, but they definitely had their struggles as well. They did the best they could in raising us. But we had a broken family. My mom divorced my dad about whenever I was 12 years old. Probably 12 years old. There was an affair, and she left, and so that we had a pretty broken home after that, and it was just left with me and my dad. Up until that point, he didn't really have a lot to do with me. My dad would work from morning until night, and so by the time my mom had left and he took over, I mean, we clashed big time. He wasn't a sit down and talk with you dad. He was very all about rules, and you know he provided well, but he wasn't a father. You know what I mean? He wasn't like he just yelled at me a lot. He yelled at me a lot. He was very impatient with me, and we didn't get along back then. I got along with my mom, up until she left, and then when she left, we just didn't talk much. Today, after many years, and after a lot of life, I have a great relationship with them both, and I love them both very dearly. They're both elderly now, and I just love them to pieces. So I just want to make sure I put that in there. We did have a very broken upbringing, but we are in good place now, a very good place. I talk with them regularly, and I love on them, and I help them, and it's really good. So anyway, my dad remarried, and by the time he remarried, I was about 18 years old, and yeah, so I had always gone to church, but I didn't know the Lord, and I would have told you that I was a Christian, and what I believed, but I thought I was saved until I was saved. And then I knew, um, yeah, I mean, I used to be really scared of the rapture. I would used to call the church and just, see if the secretary would pick up the phone, because I was so scared that, like, if I woke up or something and I couldn't find my dad, or I couldn't see anybody, I thought the rapture happened, and I was really scared. And so I would call the church, and then the secretary would answer the phone. I would just hang up, because I was like, okay, well, the secretary is probably Christian, so I would call the church just to make sure that people were still there, and there was no rapture. So I was really scared of it. And in my high school years, my later teenage years, I was not living for the Lord. I was doing my own thing. But like I said, I identified as a Christian, but I was not living for the Lord at all. I was doing all kinds of, bad stuff that just, I didn't follow the Lord. Um, and then whenever I was 18, I went to a church camp, and there was a new youth pastor that came to our church, and I made a pretty good relationship with him, and he invited me to go to church camp. So I went to the church camp, and I had been to church camp my whole life, but for some reason this time it was very different. Um, I don't know. It was just different. It's as if from the beginning of that week at camp, the Holy Spirit began to kind of woo me in, and during the worship service, growing up in a Baptist church, I'd never really seen like real worship, and I remember seeing this girl on the very first night, and while we were worshiping, she would lift her hands, and she would just worship with all of her heart, and she had this connection with Christ, um, something I'd never seen before. And I could see how she worshiped, like she was worshiping him, but she just had this special thing going with Christ that I didn't even know you could have. I knew that you could be religious and be a Christian, but I had no idea that I could have that with Christ, what I saw in her. And I watched her all week. I would watch her worship, and I just would look at that, and I was just so enamored by it. I was so interested in what was going on with her. What was going on right there? What am I watching? I am watching her love him, and I guess I never had put it together that it could be a love relationship with you and Jesus, and so yeah, it was the first time I'd ever seen that. And so the camp experience went by. I didn't have this big conversion during camp. It was no, Friday night, where everybody gets all emotional and hugging each other, and it's just a disgusting emotion party. It wasn't anything like that. But I listened all week. I paid attention. I took notes, and again, it was the Holy Spirit just wooing me. But the weekend after I got back from camp, I remember I went over to see my mom, and she gave me this tape. And back then it was a tape. I'm 43, so we were still using tapes back then, cassette tapes. And it was a Margaret Becker song, and it's a song called "Just Come In." And she was telling me that I just love this song. You need to listen to this song. And I'm like, okay, I'll listen to it on the way home. And basically, what this song is doing is like when she's singing, it's as if Jesus is talking to us. And I put in that tape, and I started to listen to it. And I started to listen to the words, And the chorus is basically just says, just come in, just leave that right there. Um, just come in and lay your heart right here. And it's like Jesus talking to us. And it says, you should never fear. And I listened to that song, and I basically just rewound it and listened to it over and over again. And in that moment in my truck, I was driving, and I just started bawling, weeping, and all I could see was Jesus. And I don't know how to explain it. I just, you know how in your mind's eye you can see Jesus? That's what it was. I felt love that I could not comprehend. That was my dog, sorry. I felt acceptance that I could not comprehend. And it was as if God removed the scales from my eyes, and Jesus revealed himself to me. It was the most amazing experience I've ever had. It was the first time I had ever worshiped in my life. It was the first time that I had ever felt or even connected anything relationally with Christ. And in that moment, I do believe was my real salvation. I had no choice in the matter, guys. I did not have a choice in this, okay? It happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like, okay, Jesus, I give you my heart, and then I had this experience. No, I wasn't expecting this, you know? Like, I thought I was a Christian until that happened, and I knew then that the Lord revealed himself to me, and it was a very, I want to say kind of like a Paul-like experience, and it completely changed me. It completely changed me. And after that, I was just in love with Jesus. I was in love with him every second, every minute. My mind was on Jesus. I was in love. I changed. I was different from the inside. I understood things like about God and in the Bible that I could not. I didn't understand before. It was just like all of a sudden I get it. But I still had so much to learn, you know. And of course, my behavior changed. You know, when you meet Christ, your behavior is going to change because you want to serve him. You want to obey him. It's no longer I got to be good because I'm a Christian. It's like you don't even have to try anymore because you want to. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. That doesn't mean that you don't fall away. Because I fell away, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But ever since that day, I have a connection with Christ that I could never walk away from forever. I cannot undo what was done. You know what I'm saying? Can't undo it. So I was 18. I immediately get into the ministry and start leading worship. I play guitar, I sing, and I started leading worship. And started leading worship for youth groups and stuff. You know, did the whole band thing and did that for a while until I got an offer to play electric guitar for a worship leader that traveled the country. And so I gave up the worship leading spot to travel with her and play lead guitar for her. And it was awesome. We traveled all over the country. We flew all over the place. I've been to almost all 50 states. Not quite, but excuse me, I did that for about 3 years. And it was very hard. The road was hard. You know, we flew everywhere, but you know, flying is not when you're flying, you're doing that many dates. It's not luxury, guys. It's hard. All right. I didn't do well on the road, man. Like, it was hard for me. I got just really depressed, you know, because like when you're traveling and stuff, Like the only thing you see is the inside of a plane, a hotel, and the church you're playing. Other than that, you're moving fast or you're just waiting. You got to think like when you play, when you're traveling and doing music, like you play what 45 minutes that night, and the rest of the time you're just waiting. We didn't have iPhones, we didn't have anything like that, so I was really bored on the road and depressed, and you know, uh, I just finally got to a point where I quit. But as these years have gone by with me leading worship and stuff, I suffered a lot of rejection in the church, a lot of judgment toward me. I just kind of got beat up in the church for a while, and by the time I was done with the road, um, I was bitter. I was so done with Christians. I still was a Christian, but I was just so done with the fakeness and the just the churchianity. And by the time I was done with the road, I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't even want to have anything to do with church anymore. And I wasn't thinking about my future. I was just thinking about now. And so I quit that band, and then I immediately got out of ministry and got a job as a bartender. And so, yeah. And, you know, I just wanted to get away from all uh, the religious nonsense. And so I basically surrounded myself with all the people that do not know Christ. Um, I began to bartend, and whenever I started bartending is whenever I started learning how to drink, you know, and I just started partying like crazy. Like it's as if I had this monster inside me that was coming out and I had no choice. It was weird. I couldn't stop it. Before I had dealt with really bad sexual sin, and I had felt so guilty over that, so much shame over sexual sin, that partying and just getting drunk and going crazy, I didn't feel shame. I was like, finally, I'm doing something that I don't feel ashamed about. And I had so much stuff built inside, like trapped inside of me from my upbringing, and then the religious abuse I took, and whenever I was leading worship and stuff, that I just kind of just went crazy. I went crazy for a long time. At first it was just drinking and partying and sleeping around like crazy, uh, with good friends and stuff. And at first it was really fun. Like I was having the time of my life. I'm not gonna lie. I loved it. I was just going crazy. I was doing whatever I wanted to do. I didn't think about tomorrow. I just lived for today. And at first it was really fun. And one night I was partying with somebody, and they pulled out some cocaine. And I have always been terrified of drugs. I was the last person that I would have ever thought would try cocaine. And he pulled out some cocaine, and I was so drunk that I was willing. And he just put out one line of cocaine, and I sniffed it. I did it, and it was love at first sight, man. I loved it. I followed him around like a puppy dog for the rest of the night, because I knew he had the coke, and that basically started off a season of my life that I will never forget. I basically just turned into a cokehead. I found the right people, to where I could find a drug dealer that I could just get it myself, and I was doing cocaine every single day, and this lasted for years. You know, I had, and I built, I made a lot of good friends during this season of my life where I was away from the Lord, and they were great people. Like I they were awesome people, and they were more loyal to me than a lot of Christian people that I know. You know, I could talk to them about things. You know, I could be myself. I could be negative, and they wouldn't judge me. You know, so I don't want you to think that these people were bad. They were not bad. They were good people. But man, I just fell into the wrong things. You know, um, so I basically was just doing cocaine every day, partying every day. It was the worst, guys. Like, I mean, you want to talk about a rough life, man. When you're doing coke and you're not sleeping, you're staying awake for days and you're still having to go to work. I mean, it's the most depressing, uh, it's horrible. I mean, it's a living nightmare. I used to say to myself, I want to wake up and for this all to be a nightmare someday. You know, it was horrible. Um, I started doing pills, a lot of painkillers and stuff, along with the coke, and every single day, you know, every day, for years. Um, I've lost friends. I've lost at least 4 or 5 friends to drugs and alcohol. You know, there was a girl that I dated for 2 years. We lived together. We were very close. I mean, if you live with someone for 2 years, you know, you get really close to them. You know, she died long after I got sober. Um, she just drank herself to death. You know, that hit me like crazy. You know, one of my best friends died from using drugs, and I've just suffered a lot of loss through that time. You know, I finally had enough, and I reached out to some people, and I got into Alcoholics Anonymous. I got into therapy, group therapy, and I basically made recovery and getting sober my life. You know, and I lived recovery, sobriety. I went through the 12 steps. I'm talking years of counseling, guys, years of this stuff. Um, and I got sober, you know, and I didn't do it perfectly. I've relapsed a couple times. You know, the first time I relapsed was awful. You know, I started using at the level that I literally left off at. You know, whenever you relapse, it's not like you start off small and go back. You know, it's not at the pace that it was before. I immediately picked up where I left off and used even harder than before. I am an addict. I have the disease of addiction. I can see that when I'm using and when I'm not using. You know, and if you're an addict or an alcoholic, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I have that disease. I've learned to live with it. It's very hard to live with it because it's not just as if you struggle with drugs. Like, to have the disease of addiction affects your entire life. You have to really relearn how to live, and it's not easy. It's hard, but yeah. So I'm about 6 years sober now. Um, I got about 3 years sober, and then I relapsed, and I got about six, maybe 6, 7 now. But yeah. So yeah, it was a rough ride, guys. It was a rough ride. You know, basically, I got sober, and man, I just went crazy. I got into health and fitness, and I ran a marathon, and you know, I just basically just lived, you know, for the first time. I grew up, you know, and I learned how to manage my money. You know, I learned how to spend. You know, I bought my car. And you know, I started to flourish. You know, and I had exhausted every passion I had that was sinful passions. You know, in my time of going crazy. But this was my time to exhaust every passion that I had that wasn't a bad thing, you know, like health and fitness, you know, running. I still love to run, you know, but I exhausted all those passions, you know. And and then one day, I remember I was at church, and you know, I still play guitar at church, and in between one of the services, we were in the back room, and I remember just sitting there thinking, like, I don't take God as serious as He is, you know. Um, I just know I don't. I don't take God as serious as He is, And that was kind of a new beginning for me, um, to where I'm at now. I basically started all over. I thought to myself, why don't I take God as seriously as I should? I'm like, is it because I don't believe? Because if I really did believe in Him, wouldn't I take this so much more serious? And so that just sent me in a rabbit hole of seeking and searching, learning apologetics. Did Jesus really resurrect from the dead? I've watched over tons of hours of YouTube videos of actual, like, historians and professors, and like legit stuff, not just like YouTube videos that I make, just, oh, Joe Bob down the street makes a YouTube video. I listen to experts on both sides. I really got into apologetics. I got into listening to both sides, like from Ravi Zacharias to Bart Ehrman on the other side. Like I got a great foundation of what I believe and why I believe it. And I got a great foundation in knowing that this Bible is not corrupted. It is not. Yeah, and so basically I had to start over. I started over, and I was like, I just want this to be real. I want to take God as serious as He is, and I just started to well, I basically got to the point where I've exhausted every passion that I have, good and bad. None of this is lasting, and I knew this the whole time because I've been a Christian this whole time. Even in my time of drugs and alcohol, we would get to start talking about God, and I would just start to tell them about the love of God and how amazing He is and how much He loves them. And and I'm drunk as I can be witnessing to people, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but man, it was still there. It was still there. And so I've been a Christian this whole time. I just had to separate myself from this ridiculous American pop culture Christianity to what is Christianity, because American pop culture Christianity is not Christianity. It is not. It may look a little bit like it, but it's not Christ. It's driven only for us. It's this inspirational self-help, self-motivation. How can I get God to enhance my life religion? And I just knew it wasn't that, and I got so tired of it. Pastors are not pastors anymore. They're life coaches. And yeah, that's a whole nother video. We'll get back to my testimony. But I started to build on what is truth. What is truth? I don't want to hear what pastor this guy says, what this guy says. I want to listen to the word of God, what he says, and then, a certain group of pastors that I trust. You've got to be careful nowadays because there are so many life coaches out there posing as pastors, and they're not real spiritual leaders. So yeah. And honestly, that's where I'm at today. I am very much into end time stuff. I do believe we are at the very end of this age. I think that we need to be out, alert, and aware, watching what's going on. I do believe that there's going to be a coming new world order. I am not sure on the rapture. I don't know. I respect a lot of pastors that do believe it, and I respect a lot of pastors that don't believe in a rapture. I don't know. I have not studied to come up with my own belief on that. So that's where I'm at today. I love end time stuff. I love truth. I will be very honest with you. I am a depressed person. I struggle with depression bad. You know, I don't know if it's just like that this world has nothing left for me, or if I just struggle with depression, uh life is hard for me. Life has always been hard for me. I don't know why. It's just not easy. I'm a big thinker. I spend a lot of time analyzing and not enough time just enjoying. That's hard for me. Being an addict, I do not know moderation. It's either all or nothing. That's a trait that a lot of alcoholics and addicts have. And so it's hard for me to just be even keel on a lot of things. I would say my mood is pretty even keel, but whenever I go for something, I go after it, or it's nothing. So, but yes, I struggle with depression bad. I have questions about God. I wonder, God, why? I'm 43, I'm single. I've always wanted to be married. I've wanted a wife. God just never allowed that to happen. As of yet, I hope that someday that I can still meet somebody, but I'm not counting on it. I was hoping to be in ministry, some kind of ministry, preaching, teaching, and that hasn't happened yet. My life has been very different than what I thought it would be. I have to be honest with you and say that my dreams did not come true, that God did not make my dreams come true. But that's true. That's what happened. I can't get it. I can't fake anything, and I have questions for God, like, why didn't these things happen? And it does depress me, because I wanted more out of this life. And I'm just being honest, guys. I'm being honest. I love the Lord. And I know, and I'm learning now that even though my life didn't turn out like I thought it would and like I hoped it would, that the Lord is good. And whether if I'm married or whether if I'm on stage teaching somewhere, um, God being glorified has got to start here. You know what I mean? And if God wants me to be single and deal with depression and not out there on stage preaching and teaching like I've always wanted, if he is more glorified with me the way I am now, then so be it. Then his glory is everything. And if he is more glorified with me not having everything I wanted, then that's a win, because it's all about Jesus. Everything is about Jesus and his glorification, and that's where I'm at today. I'm just living each day at a time. And I got a dog that I love very much. She's my best friend, and she's great company. And I read the Bible every day, and sometimes I get something out of it, and sometimes I don't. I read a lot of books, to learn more about Christ. I want to be a real Christian. I really want to follow him. I ask him every day to teach me how to follow you. And I don't want to be anything like American pop culture Christianity. I just think that America is in such a pathetic place when it comes to Christianity. So anyway, that's the short version of my testimony, guys. I wanted to put something up, just kind of get some context of who I am, and so you guys can know who's putting these videos up, and maybe this will help somebody. My life's been crazy. It's been rough, but I know the Lord is good. I know that life is all about Jesus, and I know that Jesus is love, and I wait for him. I wait for him every day. I wait for him to return and get us, whatever that looks like. I wait for him to return, and that one day that we will be face to face with him, and all of our depression, all of our anxiety, all of our addictions, and our pain will be gone, because we will be right with him. Everything will be made new, and everything will be right. Everything will be made right. And so I wait for Jesus, and in the meantime, I just try my best to follow him and learn more about him. So that's it. That's as far as I'm going to go with it. I hope this testimony has given you some insight on who I am and maybe even help some of you. I'm going to be putting up more videos, and I hope that my YouTube channel can grow. It's not doing very good right now. I think some people watch my videos, but I don't have very many. I think I have like 2 subscribers, but hopefully that I'll get some more. I just want to help people. I want to make an encouragement impact on people, and in these last days, we've got to be communicating. There's a remnant group of us. There's a small remnant group of us that truly know Him, that are truly sheep, and that are truly waiting His return. And so we've got to speak up and be out in social media world, being able to find each other. So anyway, again, my name is Jeff, and I hope to have more interactions and put up more videos in the future, and we'll do this Christian life thing together as long as is left. All right. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.